Hello there. Today I'm going to be doing a book update. Like I said in the last video, I have actually. I said in the last video that I wasn't really going to buy any films for a while because I was saving up for that Star Trek set in September. But recently I started working on a film project, doing some filming work, and I've got a bit more money, so I have bought some films, but. Just in this video, I'm just going to show the books I've got, and I'll wait till I've got wait, probably wait till around the time the Star Trek set comes out to show you all the films I bought between the last video and then, because I only have a few. So, but anyway, we'll this is going to be a book update. So I'll get into the nitty gritty. We have 8 paperbacks and a big book. So I'll just start off with first the paper. Uh, this we have Woody Allen, The Complete Prose. This is basically an omnibus of the 3 books that he wrote in the 70s. I think is it Without Feathers, Getting Even, and Side Effects. I think he has actually written a couple of books since this particular copy was published. When was it? 92, and I think he wrote another book, and he did an autobiography. I think he might have another one. Basically, what these are, they were uh, collections of the books were basically collections of short stories and articles and things he wrote, and yeah. So I've never read any of his prose before. I've seen his films, obviously, but I've never read any of his prose. So it was really cheap on eBay, and yeah. So looking forward to reading that. Next, we have the Penguin Popular Classics edition of The Picture of Dorian Gray. I always thought the book was called The Portrait of Dorian Gray, but no, it's The Picture of Dorian Gray. Again, bought this on eBay secondhand. Not read it. I've seen the movie version that had Colin Firth in it, and I didn't really like that very much. But the book's meant to be a classic, and I like those sort of old timey gothic horror stories. So yeah, looking forward to reading that as well. Uh, I just got this 2 days ago in a charity shop. We have The Three Musketeers by Alexander Dumas. Another classic I've never read. I've seen some of the movies. The 2 ones in the 70s, the Richard Lester films with Oliver Reed and Michael York and stuff. I love those, but more specifically the first one, which basically it was supposed to be one movie of the book, but they split it in 2 because they realized they could make more money that way. So the first half was but yeah, I love those movies. There's the first one's probably one of my all time favorite films actually. So, but yeah, and I've seen some of the other adaptations, but I've never read the book. This is by Wordsworth Classics, and it's a translation by William Barrow from 1846. I have no idea if it's a translation or not. I just saw it for like £2. Here's what you need to keep in mind if you ever buy a book that was originally written in a language other than English. Sometimes there are multiple translations, and you've got to be careful which version you buy. I'm sure this will be fine, but I'm not really sure which if this translations are. I'm sure it'll be oh, okay though. But yeah, generally, like for Jules Verne, for example, a lot of his translations, like the standard out of copyright English translations, are pretty poor adaptations. If you can hear a voice in the background, that's my sister. Just ignore that. Jules Verne books like 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, the original English translations are really like not very good translations. Like they're very at the best, but because they were printed back in the day, they're out of copyright, so anyone can print them. Whereas to get a decent there are more modern translations of those that are actually apparently quite good. I have the Barnes and Noble hardcover with like 7 of his books. Apparently, the translation that's okay, not the best one, not the worst one. So, um, yeah, but, and you really need to read. The trouble with books is I'm not a very active reader. I'm doing well. I've actually read about 4 books this year, which is good, which is quite good for me. But the trouble is, I have a short attention span. I'm very distracted. So generally, when I read, it's like a chapter on the bus or something when I'm going to work. So I didn't get much read last year, unfortunately. But when I'm at home and such as too many distractions, I find it difficult to concentrate on the books. So I do enjoy reading when I'm in the mood, but the trouble is I'm just too easily distracted. Anyway, moving on. Evan, most of these were for these next 4 I bought in HMV. They were all in the 2 for £6 offer. You go to HMV, you get like they started selling books like a few years ago, and they're all two books for £6, which is great because most paperbacks like was £8.99 retail price. So you get one of these for like less than half the price, which is great. So if they have a book there that you like, even just if you get one on its own, it's £5.99, which again, like this one, it's £8.99 recommended retail price. I still would save £4 had I just bought this on its own. So anyway, we have The High Window by Raymond Chandler. This is one of Raymond Chandler's Philip Marlowe books. This is the does it say which one it is? The third novel. This is the third one. I bought this because they had this and another one and The Big Sleep. I can't remember. I think the other one was the fourth one. And I didn't want to. I wanted to read the Raymond Chandler book just to see if I liked his writing because apparently they're like they're really good. And I've seen both movies of The Big Sleep, the Humphrey Bogart one, and the one that Robert Mitchum was in from the 70s, which for some reason is set in England, which was a terrible film. But basically, because I'd seen 2 adaptations of The Big Sleep, I'm quite familiar with the story, and it's like, well, I'll read it eventually if I like this, but I thought if I'm going to read one of his books, I'd rather read a one where I don't know what's going to happen because I've seen the movie. That makes sense because mystery stories are always more fun when you don't know what the what the ending is. Like I say, I will read The Big Sleep eventually when I've read this, but yeah. So I don't think you need to read these in any particular order. Like I think they're all standalone. But looking forward to I'm looking forward to reading all of these. Actually, this next one I have actually read. This is finally we get to a book I've actually read before. This is Isaac Asimov, I, Robot. I used to have a copy of this, but I sold it because I found out there was a book called of Asimov stories called the Robot Book, which had all the stories in this and the rest of the robots, which is like the follow up to this, which features more of his robot stories, and some of the other ones that weren't in either of them that were in other collections. And I thought, oh great, wow, I should get that, and then I've got more, it saves space, and then I don't have to buy all those books. I can just, I'll have all the stories from this and all those other ones, and it'll take up less space. The trouble is that this particular in iRobot, the stories there's a framing story where it's the character of Doctor the character of Doctor Calvin is being interviewed, and these are basically and the idea is the framing story. She's telling this journalist these stories, and I really like the framing story, and the stories aren't presented that way in the robot book because, well, it wouldn't. I guess it would make sense just to have a framing story for like how many stories are there in here? For 9 stories, but none of the others. So I thought, oh well, yeah, I really like the framing story. So I've ended up buying iRobot again. This isn't the edition I had. I had a different edition. I actually like the cover on my other version more, but never mind. It's £3. But yeah, so I have it back now. Really great book. Really, really good stories. If you haven't read this and you like science fiction, give it a go. The Will Smith film has really nothing to do with it. like other than the title in the whole Three Lords thing. And some of the characters, like Dr. Calvin, is in the movie, and Dr. Lanyon is his name. The James Cromwell character is Dr. Lanyon. Uh, I don't know, Lanyon, I think, yeah. The film was all right. I liked it when I was younger, but watching it again after reading this, I thought it wasn't really a very. It was well, it wasn't a bad movie. I think Will Smith was a bit miscast as the lead. Like, made it I don't know. I think the idea of doing a detective story, a story about a detective solving a murder that might have been committed by a robot in the universe Asimov created is a good idea for a film. But I think Will Smith, he's too much of a movie star to really play that part convincingly. The part, I, I don't know if you see the movies, like he's meant to have like trauma and stuff in his backstory, and he's survivor's guilt and stuff. And I just don't think Will Smith, even though he's a good actor, I just don't think he was suited for the part. The part needed a more of a like a hard boiled detective type, I think, which Will Smith doesn't do very well. So I think even though it's an okay action film, I think that and it has some really interesting ideas in it. I really think that because of the lead actor, it just doesn't not as good as it could be. But yeah, definitely give the book a go, especially if you've only seen the film because it is very different. It's like a series of short stories, uh, like I said earlier. So yeah. Next we have. I haven't read this book, but I have read a book by this author, and we'll get to that in another couple of books. We have Flow My Tears, the policeman said, by Philip K. Dick. Again, I read one of his other books. I won't say what it is because it's coming up in a little bit, but and I really liked it, and so this one sounded quite interesting. So I thought, why not get it? Because I had two. I thought, well, I can get two more because it'll only be 12 quid, which will be cheaper than buying two of them at like Waterstones, for instance. So yeah, it's about guys, the product of top secret government experiments 40 years earlier, which produced a handful of unnaturally bright and beautiful people. Sounds a bit like the what's that Brian De Palma film, The Fury, a little bit. Is it? Or am I thinking of a different? I don't know. He's also a TV star, primetime idol of millions, until inexplicably all record of him disappears from the databanks. Now he is a man with no identity, in a police state where everyone's records are monitored. Can he ever be rich and famous again, if indeed those memories are not illusions? So that sounded quite interesting. And yeah. And the last in the four I got from HMV, we have The Man Who Fell to Earth by Walter Tevis. Walter Tevis, you might have heard. He also wrote The Queen's Gambit, which Netflix turned into a TV series. Was it last year that started? I think. Anyway, that's also based on one of his books, and so was Hustler, the Paul Newman film. So obviously, very very varied writer in terms of genres. Basically, I've seen the David Bowie film a couple of times. I really like that, and I wanted to read the book. Just to compare. Basically, if I see a film based on a book and I like the film, usually I'll want to read the book at some point. Just to compare them, because sometimes the book might be better. It might be worse. You don't know. It's interesting to see it in the same story in a different form. I can't do the reverse. If I've read the book first, I can't enjoy the film because I kind of, when I'm reading, I kind of picture I'm already I'm kind of picturing the film in my head. So when I actually watch the film and it's not like how I imagined it when I was reading it, it's and it's not really fair on the films, but it's hard for me to kind of see it as its own thing rather than comparing it to what I saw when I read the book in my head. So generally, I try to watch the film adaptation or TV adaptation of something first, so that I can just watch it as its own thing, and then because I don't have a problem with it, then when I read the book, I can just I can enjoy that after I've already seen the film. Actually, and usually I actually picture that it's easier because you picture the actors from the film in your head when you read the book because you've seen the film. Yeah. Anyway, Man Who Fell to Earth. It's basically about for those of you who haven't seen the film or read the book, it's about a alien. Uh, Basically lands on Earth. His planet's they need water or something, and so he comes to Earth, and he's Then in the film, he was played by David Bowie. So if you're a fan of David Bowie, watch the film. It's very weird though, very arty, if you know, that sort of thing. Uh, and because and after I went into HMV, I was in Waterstones, and because I bought a Philip K. Dick book, and I realised, I really need another copy. I really need to get another copy of this particular one, the one I'd read before. I got it. We have Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, which was famously turned into the film Blade Runner. They did have a copy of this in HMV, but it was called Blade Runner. Like they had the poster for the movie with the Blade Runner title, which I don't mind tie-in covers, but it annoyed me that it said Blade Runner and not Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, because I'm like, the book wasn't called Blade Runner. I mean, if it said Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep and it was just the cover of the movie, I would have been fine. But because it had a different title, it kind of annoyed me. I'm weird like that, but yeah. Like iRobot, I had a copy of this and I sold it. Basically, I really like this, and so there was an omnibus of like I think five Philip K. Dick books, which included this, and I thought, well, I'll get that because again, I liked this book, so I actually get the omnibus, and then I can save space. But the trouble is, it was the size of a brick. Hang on, I'm just getting. This isn't part of the update, but this is my Lord of the Rings trilogy omnibus. It's like about this thick. I think it might be thicker than this because it's 5 books, rather than 3. Although these are long books, I don't know. But basically, it's about this size. Which, and like I said, I usually read when I'm on the bus, and when you're on the bus, it's a bit harder to like carry around a book this thick, and. So I thought, well, I'll just get it again on its own. I think this is the cover I had. Oh, it was this. I don't think it was the exact same, but it was the same image. I think the color was different. Also, my old copy, because I had it when I was like at school, secondary school, and I carried it around in my bag. And books, when I would carry books around in my bag, they would get battered quite easily, even if I hadn't really read them. Like I've got my copy of Thunderball is the James Bond book. Looks quite battered, and it just because I carried it around in my school bag, so it was pretty battered, and I was like, oh, it bothered me, and I got rid of it. I think the omnibus, wanting to get the omnibus was also an excuse to get rid of a battered book, but I kind of realized that was silly because it's like, well, the cover was still attached, the pages weren't falling out. Yeah, it was a bit battered, but you could still read it, so I felt a bit silly, especially now that I've just went and bought pretty much the same versions again. So, yeah. Again, very good book. Very different from the film. The film's a very loose adaptation. Blade Runner is. Philip K. Dick approved of it. Apparently, like he didn't. He died before the film came out, but he read the script. They showed him the script, and apparently he was fine with all the changes. So, as to which one's better or worse, I think I prefer the film slightly, but this is still good. If you're a fan of Blade Runner, it's worth reading it. One, because it's where the story came from originally, and also just because it's very different. It's a very different take on the story, so it's interesting in that way. Yeah, that's Blade Runner. I want to get more Philip Dick books. I really want to read that one. Oh god, it's called Man in the High Castle, which I saw the first episode of the TV series. And I didn't watch the rest. I didn't like the first episode of the TV show on Amazon. It wasn't for me. It was just your sort of standard modern premium TV series, and I'm not really into those. But I want to read the book because the story sounds interesting. Since I obviously like his writing style, I probably enjoy the story more in that form than the TV series. But yeah, and this last book. Now, the recommended retail price for this is about 40 quid. And after I got it, I looked on Amazon and it was about, I think, 26, £27. so still quite expensive. I got this in Forbidden Planet, which is like a geeky, like nerdy shop here in. Do they have it outside of the UK? We have it in the UK. I don't know if they have it anywhere else. Do they have Forbidden Planet? If you're watching this and you're from somewhere outside of the UK, do they have Forbidden Planet shops where you live? But anyway, so Forbidden Planet had this for $4.99. So I got this book, which had I gotten it elsewhere, would have cost me nearly 30 quid. I got it for a fiver. We have the Close Encounters of the Third Kind, the Ultimate Visual History. This is it's a coffee table book. Sorry about that. Someone came in. So it's a making of book about Close Encounters of the Third Kind, which is a film I really like. I have the 4K. Really good film. Not the biggest Spielberg fan, but I do like some of his early ones. I like this and Raiders of the Lost Ark and Jaws. Duel, which is his first film, the one with the truck. That one's really good. A couple of his late ones. I like Catch Me If You Can. Schindler's List. I like some of them. I'm not the biggest fan of him. I do like some of his films. And this is one of my favourites of his. And it's it's got some kind of making of, like, behind the scenes photographs and storyboards and concept art and things like that. So yeah, so if you have a Forbidden Planet near where you live, I'm assuming this is just in the UK, but if you live in the UK and you have a Forbidden Planet near you, and this is this is a film you really like, go there because you will get this for a bargain price. So yeah, some quality stuff right here. Whether I'll get round to reading them this decade, I have no idea. But yeah, so yeah, that's the end of the video, and thank you for watching.